listening and awareness, like among everybody, especially with a large group, but like, you know, all of us kind of came together and formed one thing that moved.
I think the word, which is always so symbolic, heart, say it's not just concept.
Yeah.
It's a presence. It's a presence, right? And you know, again, 9/11. Not to dwell on that, just made all difference disappear to a high degree. And of course, there was a lot of anger about, you know, who did it, and so on and so forth. It's typical, and understandable. But the common heart presence on the ground between beings was profound, right? Profound. In that circumstance, you see what the heart was made to do. So to go beyond differences, strike beyond differences, see, and embrace the reality of people in need. Right? Crazy.
Shared adversity is one way of bringing that up.
Yes.
Maybe there are other
Yes.
more.
Well, we see the extreme end of it in that case. And the proof of it there, the differences. People were loving each other, caring for each other, crying for each other. This is important. This is how the heart speaks. This is the heart speaking loud, you know, reaching out and reaching for help at the same time. So tragedy is a very good medicine. We're sorry it happens, but I mean, it's good that comes of it. See? You learn, especially for the people who are emergency people, first responders.
So is the heart, is that then how you could communicate so well? In the music is the same, I don't know,
it's really,
property?
well, we can call it. I mean, now that we're asking those kinds of questions, sincerely, right? Yeah, it is about the heart. Right? Some of the best musicians out there reach you because their hearts are open, and you get it. You know, Stevie Wonder, big-hearted person. The numbers and the names are numerous. You know, John Lennon, right? All of these great artists are working from that. They have their audiences. They have those people following them and paying attention to them and buying their products when they're reached to that level. Could be by the music, could be by lyrics. Part of the same. Some people who don't feel the music, they can hear the lyrics and be transported to a similar place. They can know what it's about. Sometimes you have the lyrics being exactly the music. There's no difference. And then other times the music and the lyrics are far apart. So those people whose lyrics reach us the most profoundly, we feel the connection with them. We understand them. We resonate with them. We kind of know them. Right? We don't know their darker side, but we know what is good to know about them. We know what they can do to redeem themselves. And the name that comes to me is Charlie Parker. Right? Wasn't really a bad person. Right? He was a great musician, but he's trouble. And he had to do what he had to do. And he even said it. Don't do what I do. I have to do this. My body's in such bad shape. I have to do whatever I have to do. So he could play. His whole purpose was to play. So I mean, we can fault him for that, but why? The art speaks for itself. It was his debt, his humiliation. That's true of most artists that I've met and I've worked with to heal them. And of course, it's good that I play because then I give you an example of something that could be done, and a tone for something that could be, I guess you might say, used to, let's say, be closer to something within oneself. So it's tone of majesty, the tone of dignity, the tone of peace, right? Brotherhood, the tone of friendship, the tone of kindness and compassion, these tones. it's okay to be vulnerable to people up to a point. It's better to be wise and know who to be around. And who to cross paths with. It comes with quieting the mind and knowing better. Yes, Chantal.
I'm relatively new to listening to jazz.
Yes.
I think it's really striking how you started each piece with the little melody.
Yes.
I happen to know that at least one of them is your own composition.
All of them are.
So I'm just wondering, is there something, does that reflect something about your relationship to melody, or the
We
role
are
of
melody.
in your
This
music?
is your melody. This is your melody. You're speaking your melody. We are melody.
That there's sort of, if I could make a distinction, there's kind of a song, and then
Yes,
there's
yes, yes. But
this other kind
it's
of
all
music
voice.
that's-
Voice is melody. Conventionally, yeah, there's a kind of melody we prefer. And so we have the genres that represent the various schools of thought, right? And the various levels of experience for people to resonate with, right? Each genre is a level of culture, a reality. Mhm. And jazz is the same. Say, I was singing when I was a child. I was drumming at a very, very early age. And singing. And I found comfort in that. Right? Happiness and peace in it. I felt salvation in it. When I was brought up and raised in a saloon-like environment with drinking and violence and hatred and anger and fighting and loving all at the same time. It's a crazy mix. This beautiful sort of chaos of gypsy madness. I was raised in it. I was born into it and raised in it. But the voice was there. For me, it's all about the melody. And so what happens is I tuck the melodies, like Rakalam knows, he's an analyst as well. And he used to say, for avant-garde player, my playing was full of melodies.
Absolutely.
Singing melodies, singable melodies. That's his opinion, of course. That's his experience.
You know, not everybody knows that he won't mind. He was in a doo-wop group when he was a teenager.
Oh,
And
oh.
called the
Do it,
Arrogance.
the
And all-
arrogance, totally.
And they all had the Puerto Rican curl and everything. I saw pictures.
The Puerto Rican Elvis birthday, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Hardly.
You guys was cute as a bum.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I bet you were singing great too. I bet
No, I won't go that far, but
Well-
what happened was at that point, when I was a teenager, I was 12 years old, right? And, you know, it's, so regular guys, right? And I heard guys singing, and we bonded in a certain way. And so we became friends, but I was also playing drums and a little bit of ukulele, and, so I was musically known in a certain way, as a beginner in many ways. However, there was a group called the Arrogance, and their baritone singer, Ricky Sato, a Japanese fellow,
Wow.
fell out of the band because his parents needed him to do the Madame Butterfly show on Broadway.
Oh,
So he was part of that.
gee.
So they were going around asking people to sing, say who can sing, who wants to audition for the band or the singing group, and I was one of the people. And I think I brought the band down. I brought their singing group down, but they took me to Hollywood with them anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we went on a tour of Hollywood, and we had the fortune of meeting and being around the Beach Boys, who were just unknown. They were just beginners then.
Wow.
And so we would do our act, they'd do their act, and so it was the Beach Boys and the Arrogance, and it was crazy, And the difference is the Arrogance studied jazz.
Wow.
So the guys in the band, Augie and Sally, both which come from musical families, went to the high-lows.
High-lows, I remember the high-lows. They were very musical.
Very.
Yeah. They had those harmonies.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where these guys are coming from. But we were doing doo-wop because that's what was in is doo-wop. But the musical level was more abstract than that. But getting back to Chantal, it's all melody and it's all voice. Okay, and you hear people who speak, and you hear more music in their voice if you listen. Like sometimes when your mom, if you have a mom, has a sing-song voice to you when you're nice, and a different song for you when you're not. Right? You hear it. You hear the differences in tone, or timbre, if you want, and quality, edge, right? Sweetness, emotion. Yeah. And that's it. That's these are the mechanics or the dynamics that we could say are built, right? Melodies are built from, or they build melodies. So if you're always singing, which I recommend you do if you can do it, and not so much by musical, let's say, standard, but by your emotional standard, right? What you feel. Crying is also singing. I've heard a lot of crying. I would have put the music. You're not against the crying, but they're just beautiful crying, right? and sorrow, the longing, sorrow. It's just beautiful music, and so we have psalms that are part of this tradition of putting sadness to music, blues as well. And all of it is music. And I wrote in this book that I have out called The Diamond Bible of Heart Fire Sound, and I say all music is just sorrow. Even the happy ones, happy tunes, it's just another form of sorrow. Even the happy tunes are expressions of suffering. And that people are suffering, so they sing and play happy music in order to eliminate the suffering, which doesn't disappear. See? Yeah. We suffer lessons in life that are not complete. Yeah. So we suffer incompletion.
Would you say there's a kind of movement from one kind of song to another? And
yes.
Maybe a kind of natural...
Just like your moods change. Right? Your voice changes. Right? The quality of your tone changes. Your curiosity has a different tone. Your asking questions are different. Your certainty has a certain tone. Right? Your convinced, ness. Right? When you're convinced, dead sure. Right? There's a tone to that too. Right? And then there's no tone. See? Then we're just light. So we need to be that too. And sing for, of, from, and by light itself. If you can imagine that for a moment. It's light.
Wow.
Is light. It's called the is light. Right? The is light. Yes, come in. Yeah. Yeah, it is light. Because we are light. It is light. This is all light. People would call it heart light, the light of the heart, where what we see is itself. It sees itself through us. So it's this kind of strange, but perfect kind of like, what is it? Self-awareness. So there's plenty to sing about if you ask me. It's all song.
Jazz would you say it's the sort of song of the city?
Metropolitan life? It's really the song of mind, not just the city. See, it's really a song of mind, like classical music. It's really a song of mind. It's also the heart, but it's also mind. See, intelligence, like concrete intelligence even. See, construction, architecture, right? Right? Architecture. See, music is architecture. Notes, lines, patterns, composition. So we need to be with ourselves where we are the composition. You are composed. And to sing or not to sing is really a matter of opportunity in terms of what your emotional need is. Because when it's time to scream, you're going to scream. But that could be considered music or something horrible and frightening and violent to the next person. So. But when the mother giving birth to the child is screaming, I mean, nobody's concerned. We're just happy about she's delivering the child, the being that's trying to come out into our midst. It's music, again, it's relative, so comment. Done? Okay, thank you all, we appreciate that.